Hey there, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into something incredibly moving today. A beautiful piece of poetry that perfectly captures a really tough, uniquely modern dilemma. We're going to unpack a written piece that brilliantly contrasts the boundless, carefree innocence of youth with the incredibly heavy and honestly often terrifying awareness of the modern world. It's the story of a father, his 7-year-old son, and the digital screens that connect their quiet living room to the rest of the globe.
The piece we're looking at is titled Abrar at the Age of 7, and it was written by Hassan Sharzimo. It's dated September 2025, and it originates from Sabuchnagar, Jaipurhat in Bangladesh. So it gives us this beautifully specific real-world cultural grounding. We're getting a snapshot of a real family dealing with a very real emotional struggle. But as you'll see as we go through this, the themes Hassan is exploring here, they are profoundly universal. Let's just take a moment to really take this in.
Right, so the absolute core of this piece is that universal struggle of raising kids in a complex, 24/7, information-saturated world. Seriously, think about it for a second. How do you actually protect a child's innocence when the harsh, unfiltered realities of the globe are broadcast directly into our homes every single day? It's like walking an impossible tightrope. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how this poem illustrates that jarring, head-on collision between innocent childhood play and devastating global tragedies.
Section 1. The Boundless Joy of Childhood.
Okay, so the poem starts by introducing us to Hassan's son, Abrar, who has just crossed 6 and stepped right into age 7. And he is exactly what you'd expect: restless, totally exuberant, and absolutely brimming with life. His dad calls him a sparkler of words, who has a literally never-ending stream of questions, and his world is just so vibrant. The poem actually lists out this massive group of friends and family. We've got Reda, Taram, Tirtho, Aisha, Abdullah, Momita, plus his cousins, like his favorite playmate Tahami, his older friend Saifbai, and even his incredibly naughty cousin Arash, who apparently loves to ruin his games. Hearing all these names, you can just feel the sheer volume of his social circle. It really highlights his deep-rooted innocence. The second he spots a friend, he's just off, bursting into lively play.
But, he's not a perfect little angel all the time, which honestly just makes him so wonderfully relatable. The poem points out that while Abrar is brilliant, he doesn't exactly love sitting down to focus on his studies. And when he inevitably gets a scolding from his mom, he immediately runs off to complain to his dad. There's this fantastic, playful line from his mother in the text: "The boy has turned out just like his father, a merchant of words." He just charms everyone with how much he talks, and it totally wins them over. Plus, he's a total pro at watching cartoons. We're talking Masha and the Bear, Tom and Jerry, Mutu Patlu. He's living the absolute ultimate kid life.
Section 2. A Sudden Shift in Perspective. Now, here is where the whole tone of the piece takes a really sharp, sudden turn. Because Abrar's world isn't just cartoons and playing with cousins anymore. The screens in his house, they aren't just broadcasting Chiku Bunty or Diana Roma. They're broadcasting the entire world. And it creates this stark, almost unbelievable contrast. On one side, you have the endless, colorful, lighthearted animations that Abrar loves. But on the other, well, as the poem explicitly states, my son is a fan of the news too. He watches world affairs, Palestine, Gaza, Iran, Ukraine being devastated. Can you imagine? Being 7 years old and trying to process the massive gap between Tom and Jerry and the actual devastation of real-world war zones. It's a massive, unavoidable collision of two entirely different realities happening right in his living room.
And this brings us to the end of innocence. It's that jarring emotional whiplash of a young child confronting global devastation for the very first time. The text notes that Abrar sees far more evil than good right before his eyes. Child slaughter and brutality are raging across the globe, and when he sees the Palestinian children on the news, Abrar's own eyes fill with tears. It's heartbreaking. His boundless, pure childhood empathy is crashing directly into the absolute cruelty of the world.
Section 3. A Father's Unanswered Questions. So, what does a kid do when they see something they just completely don't understand? They ask their parents, right? While watching the news, Abrar asks, "Abu, why is Israel so evil? What did the people of Palestine do that they attack them with missiles and cannons every day?" We're looking at these emotionally charged questions exactly as they appear in Hassan Sharzimo's text. It is the raw, totally unfiltered confusion of a 7-year-old desperately trying to make sense of missiles and daily attacks. And his dad's reaction? Well, he says, "Stunned by my son's question, I can find no answer."
Completely unable to answer his little boy, the father turns his gaze outward to the rest of us. He states, "I too have a question for the conscience of the world. can this killing, oppression, and destruction never be stopped? The crucial takeaway here is that profound shared helplessness. The son is helpless to understand the violence, and the father is entirely helpless to explain it, let alone stop it. They're both just sitting there, watching the devastation unfold.
Section 4. Fear for the future.
As a parent, watching your child's eyes well up with tears over the suffering of people halfway across the world, it brings up this immense, heavy internal guilt. You want so badly to provide a safe haven, but the walls of that haven are totally permeable in our digital age. And this brings us to the father's incredibly moving apology in the text. He writes, "I never wanted to give you a world like this, not ever. Forgive me, my son. We are all indebted to this generation." It perfectly highlights a universal parental anxiety, that sinking feeling that adults are passing down a deeply, deeply broken world to kids who just deserved so much better.
The father then asks two haunting questions. He asks, "You will grow up, but will this world truly belong to you?" And then he asks, "How much of a safe world am I actually able to build for you?" I really want you to think about that. For anyone out there who has a protective instinct over a younger person, whether it's a child, a younger sibling, a student, how much control do we actually have over their safety in a vast, interconnected, and often volatile world? The father acknowledges that while the passing days of childhood are filled with laughter and tears, he actually lives in fear of the crises ahead.
But despite all of this fear, the poem ends on a note of deep love and blessing. The father offers his prayers and guidance to his son forever. He wishes for Abrar to live a life of comfort and plenty, happy, healthy, and whole. It's the ultimate push and pull of parenting, isn't it? Having an acute, terrifying awareness of the world's dangers, but pairing that with an unbreakable, hopeful prayer for your child's well-being.
Section 5. The full poem revealed.
Okay, now that we've really explored this intense contrast between innocence and awareness, we're going to put the whole piece up. I want you to take a moment to read and reflect on Hassan Sharzimo's unfiltered, emotional journey in its entirety. Just notice how it flows so seamlessly from those playful lists of cartoons and friends directly into the heavy, crushing realities of global conflict, and then finally settling into a father's heartfelt prayer. Take your time with it.
As we wrap up our analysis of Abrar at the age of 7, I want to leave you with a thought directly inspired by this father's struggle. How do we actually preserve the boundless joy of childhood in an era of 24/7 digital tragedy? Is it even possible to shield them anymore, or is our only option to just guide them through it the best we can, just like Hassan attempts to do with his prayers? It is a huge question that every modern parent, and honestly our society at large, absolutely must face. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep reflecting on these critical questions, and I'll see you next time.